The history of basic income in 5 minutes. Should we start with Thomas More? Not really, because his utopia even hardly contains the idea of a conditional minimum income scheme. However, his friend Juan Luis Vives, in a little book on the assistance to the poor, published 10 years after Utopia in 1826, did propose systematically a minimum income scheme, but of a very conditional sort, means tested, work tested, of the same sort as the poor laws in England, which it helped inspire, and basically of the same sort as the social assistance schemes which we know even today. When did the idea of an unconditional income originate? When was it first formulated? Thomas Paine, the end of the 18th century, yes, but not quite. What he proposed was a universal, unconditional basic endowment for all young people, joined with an unconditional basic pension for everyone from age 50. Someone else at about the same time, called Thomas Spence, an English teacher, did propose an unconditional basic income, a regular payment at the level of every parish in England. And the first proposal for a basic income at the national level, under the name territorial dividend, was made in 1848 by someone called Joseph Charlier in a book published in Brussels under the title Solution of the Social Problem. The same year as Karl Marx was writing, also in Brussels, his Communist Manifesto. But none of these writings had a real impact. None of them led to something like a significant public debate. The first public debate on basic income, unconditional basic income, only arose after the First World War in England. Someone called Dennis Milner, an engineer and a Quaker, had proposed it under the name state bonus, and it was even the subject of a discussion at a national convention of the Labour Party shortly after World War I. Then it disappeared. It was only advocated then on and off by some major intellectuals like G.G.H. Cole, the first holder of the chair of political philosophy at the University of Oxford, or James Mead, an economist who later got the Nobel Prize and defended that idea up to the end of his long life, at the end of the 20th century, under the name social dividend. It reappeared then in the late 60s in the United States, where economists like Jim Tobin started advocating it to the point that a candidate for president of the United States, George McGovern, put it on his program, but McGovern badly lost the election in 1972. The proposal had helped inspire a number of major experiments, so-called negative income experiments in the United States and in Canada in the 1970s. But by the time these experiments were completed, there was no longer any public interest in that idea. The idea then reappeared under different names, citizens' wage, allocation universelle, universal benefit, and above all then basic income in the early and mid-1980s in various European countries. In 1986, the first international conference on basic income was held in Louvain-la-Neuve, and a network was created under the name Basic Income European Network, BIEN. As time went on, more and more people from outside Europe joined these conferences, and in 2004 in Barcelona it was decided to turn this basic income European network into a basic income Earth network with many sections throughout the world. Interest grew gradually, awareness of this idea in more and more circles, in more and more countries, but at a slow pace, until 2016, where suddenly you had a national referendum in Switzerland, you had the decision in Finland to organize the first real basic income experiment anywhere in the world. You had a candidate for the presidency of France, Benoît Hamon, for the Socialist Party, putting that proposal of a basic income, revenu universel, at the center of his electoral program. All this led to far wider awareness of the idea of basic income, far wider popularity of that idea, not only in the countries concerned, but far beyond. And then came the pandemic in 2020, and more people realized that basic income was not only a potential solution for this conjunction of globalization and robotization that led, if not to rarefaction of jobs, at least to a sort of dramatic polarization of earning power in the population. So basic income, as revealed by the pandemic, was also a way of providing a universal floor, a universal basic security that would have made our societies and our economies far more resilient in the face of such huge challenges as a pandemic. That's where we are, with a totally unprecedented awareness and popularity of that idea throughout the world. Will it lead to the introduction of this basic income, universal, unconditional basic income anywhere of the world? Who knows? What you need for that is a lucky coalition between visionaries who can indicate the direction, sensible direction in which we need to move. You need body kickers, people who are indignant about the present situation and provide the energy to overcome that's needed to overcome the status quo. You need thinkers who can see how it is possible to move forward by using the cracks in the current system, and then you need courageous and clever politicians who can see the point of defending that idea, of implementing it, and manage then to get it through. Where will that be? Who can tell?